Lovely. Where's Susan?
Okay. Glad the recording is in progress. Good notes. Susan Julie called me at maybe 10:30 or 11 this morning and said she wasn't going to be here.
Oh,
She had other stuff going on and felt like it was really more important. Okay.
okay.
So my question then is, what do we do with an open hour or more or less where nothing is planned?
Oh,
And I thought I would just throw out a couple of ideas, one at a time or two at a time or 10 at a time. And yeah, I know 10 at a time is too much. But and we could go from there and see, what discussion each brings up.
sure.
Jim Lockhart
Ah.
sent a message on the minister's listserv called, it was his blog, called The Changing Landscape, Reflecting on the Decline in Church Attendance. I don't know whether you have had an opportunity to read it. It's very short. It says, understanding the trend, according to a recent study by the Pew Research Center, the United States has witnessed a gradual decrease in religious affiliation over the past decade. The study reveals that the percentage of Americans who identify as religiously unaffiliated has risen from 16% in 2007 to 26% in 2019. And it provides the links, but they're not on my paper copy.
Did you say
This shift is
26?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you say 26%?
I did say 26%.
Wow.
This shift is particularly prominent among younger generations who are less likely to participate in organized religious activities. The rise of individual spirituality. One possible explanation for this decline is the increasing trend of individualized spirituality. Many individuals now seek religious connections with the divine outside the boundaries of traditional religious institutions. This shift reflects a desire for more flexible and personalized approaches to spiritual fulfillment. Many people are still searching for spiritual experiences, but they are looking outside the realm of organized religion, according to Eckhart Tolle, or Tolle, however you pronounce it. Websites and platforms dedicated to alternative spiritual practices, such as mindfulness, meditation, and yoga, have gained popularity among those seeking spiritual growth without the confines of traditional religious dogma. Changing social dynamics. It is essential to recognize that the decline in church attendance is not solely driven by shifts in personal beliefs. Societal changes, including increased mobility, multiculturalism, and changing family structures, have also played a significant role in shaping religious practices. According to Robert Putnam, a sociologist, Americans are less likely to be religiously active today because they have more diverse opportunities for civic and social engagement. Individuals are now finding community and social support in various spheres, such as sports clubs, social media groups, and volunteer organizations, diminishing the exclusive role once held by religious institutions. And the conclusion is the decline in church attendance signals a broader transformation in religious and spiritual landscapes. While organized religion continues to hold a significance for many, it is crucial to acknowledge the evolving needs and preferences of individuals seeking alternative avenues for spiritual fulfillment. As we navigate this changing landscape, it is essential to foster open dialogue and promote inclusivity within religious institutions. By embracing diversity and adapting to the evolving spiritual needs of the community, churches can remain relevant and offer valuable contributions to society. the kicker to the whole thing, this post was produced by the artificial intelligence program chatbot GPT from the following prompt: write a 300-word blog post on the topic of a reduction in church attendance in the style of https://newthoughtrevolutionary.wordpress.com. Include relevant quotes and references to websites with appropriate data.
That is amazing.
So
That was
last time we talked about AI from Kevin. I mean, it's just like, hello, here it is.
And
Yeah,
I thought it was right on. I thought it was right on with
It
the
is. It is. Lynn, you're mute, or you were mute. So we can't hear a word you say.
Yeah, I was babbling along. I thought it was an interesting article, but then to say that at the end, my first thought was, how do teachers know that students write legitimate papers
Anymore. Yes.
at all?
I can't. Yeah. How can you tell?
Yeah.
Right.
That's a really good point. What an interesting quandary. Maybe
Yeah.
we make people write in cursive.
Go back to cursive, yeah.
Right.
Or-
And that's interesting too, because I was interacting. Oh my goodness. Oh, now I remember, it was at the bank. A very young gentleman, early 20s. Oh, what an incredible demeanor he had. Very inspirational. It was really cool to talk with him. You know, he was very excited about his career in the banking and, you know, just getting started. What made me think about him is that he was saying that he knows people just a little younger than him, all they can do is barely sign their name. They have absolutely no knowledge of how to write cursive.
They stopped teaching it. And
Yes.
most of the people I know, their kids were not taught it.
Yes. My two older granddaughters know. My two younger grandsons do not.
Amazing.
So
Which means they cannot read the Constitution.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
We
That's
should-
very scary.
Yes. That is. However, we could get the chatbot to translate the Constitution into legitimate printing. I
Yeah.
suppose, and a way to make sure that the papers turned in were original would be to give the students a blank book and say, write it now or print it. Here's the book. Give it back to me in 2.5 hours. Don't leave the room. Don't use your computer. Don't use your watch
Oh, that's true. Wow.
or your phone.
Interesting. Times are changing.
Aren't
I'm
they?
like really floored by what you just, that was a very interesting little exercise. I was taking notes. Look at me with all my notes. I do agree that, you know, society's changing and we have this multiculturalism, many different types of beliefs,
Mhm.
not just the traditional Christian, and family structures way different.
Mhm.
And there are a lot more opportunities for civic and social engagement, you know? And
Mhm.
so your community is not solely the church.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then the alternative practices. Yeah. You know, I look at the Unity Church in Colorado Springs there on Mesa, you know, where Dr. David Goldberg just took over the minister position. And almost, except for onesie twosie, almost the entire congregation is way older than me.
Mhm.
And they've adopted, every week an intention, of bringing in youth. I don't see it. I don't know what to say, but yeah, and I don't mean to be a blockage there, but I'm having a hard time, not for some reason, seeing it.
I think the key, I don't know, might be hold it and they will come. When Peter started the church in Dallas, there were no children except hers. And so she hired a Sunday school teacher that was in New Thought and asked the Sunday school teacher to teach her one child. And if that child was off with his dad, to hold the class and hold the consciousness as if the class was there.
Yeah.
And just continue to do that. And then gradually they showed up.
My thinking was acting as a blockage. I should stop my thinking. If I'm thinking it's not going to happen, and I shouldn't be.
Right.
I get it. I know.
Yes.
Right towards the end of my schooling stuff, actually, it was the last weekend class. What did they call these now? I forget. No, all of a sudden I've lost the name. What those weekend classes were called. Special topic classes. That's what it was. And it was on this topic that not as many people are coming to church. And what about that? And they had a couple speakers from different, hang on a second. They had a couple speakers from different churches. They had the lady from Bodie in Chicago. They also had another very prominent minister from Chicago with a huge church. Who else do they have? A rabbi. Had a couple of different directions of people talking about what was going on in their churches and with the numbers and stuff. And everybody had kind of a different opinion about why they thought church was slowing down, or the membership was slowing down, and what to do about it. The Black churches, the big one in Chicago that they interviewed was a pretty famous Black minister. And they just really rock on Sundays and that's kind of what they do. They dress up. That's the whole socialization, I think, of a lot of that. The class kind of came down to understanding or trying to learn where and when people would want to meet in today's cultural world. Because Sunday morning isn't always the best thing anymore. And I think the pandemic, shutting churches down really did a number on that. And because you can sit home in your pajamas with your own cup of coffee and watch, how many different services, 4 different services, really, if you're staying on for the 4 different time zones, and give to who you want to give to. So, why get dressed up and go sit in an uncomfortable chair? There's all of that. But there was one person they interviewed that had decided to try a local bowling alley on a Friday night, because that's where a large congregation of people went. And so they set up, got one of the little side rooms, pizza and, beer or Cokes or whatever, and taught a New Thought little circle. And it worked great, and it grew.
Oh,
Just, go to meet them where they are on their own ground. And that's what that was. But I think there's kind of and I'm not sure what the right word is, there's kind of a play on, there are some people that are ready to leave organized religion because of the control of it, and there's an opening that's happening. And then you've got so they move to more of a spirituality. But then if we're moving to a spirituality, why do I need to be confined again to a brick and mortar building on a Sunday morning when I could be going for a hike?
Right.
So I think all those things are changing. My dog is pulling things out of my purse. Did you read that? Whatever. I forgot that was on the floor. Sorry, guys. Eating my things. So I think there's so many things that come into play. People no longer feel that responsibility to show up in the building.
Right.
And they want more control over their time and their lives. But I think they still want the spirituality and how to make life work.
Yes, and I think that there's a piece here where they really would like to have the community too. But in order to have community, you personally have to be invested in it. That means, community is not going to come knocking on your door and going, okay, we're here, we're your community, we're going to be here with you, for you. You got to go put your 2 cents worth in. It just doesn't happen without you. I mean, it's like this. We might have the most wonderful information possible, but you get way more out of it if you're a part of the discussion. Yes, you might get something afterward if you watch the movie or the DVD or the YouTube video, whatever it turns out to be, like they're going to make a big movie out of it. But you can get something out of it, but you get way more out of it if you're in person with it and listening to the dialogue and able to insert, wait, but I want to talk about questions or thoughts or ideas into what's going on. You just get way more out of it that way. And it's the same with church. You can watch church online, but you don't get the energy and the atmosphere of being in person.
Right.
And so to me, online is great when I can't do it otherwise. And yes, I've got tons of choices, but I like to be in person if I can. And a Zoom circle is a better person circle than no circle at all.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. And see, we're interacting here.
Sure.
And so I do feel a little bit of energy, right? However, when I observe the unity service, I'm not interacting. You're just observing, the camera is on the people that are on the platform, and it goes from the music over to the prayer chaplain to the minister. You're not interacting. You can't even really feel the energy.
Yep.
The only good thing about that is at the end of the service, some of us sometimes stay on and then we interact, those of us that are on Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't like doing Zoom service, to be honest with you. I've now learned that over the past months. I'm not, it doesn't turn me on. I feel disconnected to unity.
Mm-hmm.
I feel connected. I feel connected in I'm sorry. I feel connected with you guys, but we're interacting, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
I was going to say, down here in North Texas, in the Baptist belt here, it's hard to believe that membership is slowing down. On Sunday mornings, I mean, these churches here are so big and there's so many, and the police will stop traffic. The police will stop regular traffic on the road so that the church traffic can come and go. So you have to plan around that. And their churches are hopping down here, and they're building new churches all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you wonder where the people are coming from.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to be hopping around here, and the policemen do the traffic thing here too. Although the Unity Church shut down, not the one in Fayetteville, the one here in Bentonville. The Unity closed its doors. I think I remember telling you,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But the younger, you mentioned the youth in the write-up. You know, they're in their rooms on social media.
Mhm.
They're gonna, as they mature, they're gonna want even less to get up and get dressed and go to,
Mhm.
they're gonna want that even less.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's less, there's that whole generation right now that's raised with less interaction. And less community. Yeah,
I wonder
less
if that
understanding
will-
about that.
I
Sorry.
wonder if that will give us more people who are socially inept
Mhm.
because they haven't had the community to practice, either the school community
Right.
or the church community, or sometimes the family community either, to
Mhm.
practice their social skills.
Yes, I'm already seeing it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What are you witnessing?
I witness it in the teenagers in the stores right now, that they do not understand customer service. They don't understand. It's just foreign to them to really almost even look at you or to listen to what you're there for if you have an issue. The whole thank you thing. I mean, we were raised to say thank you with meaning. And if they say it, it's a very robotic kind of expression that they've been told to stay at, after a customer. I notice it in doctors because we're in the hospitals, so much, or in that environment, that young doctors are so robotic themselves in everything they do. That whole issue of the bedside manner went away a long time ago for some of these people. We ran in, was it last summer? I guess we were in the hospital a couple times for an issue over like a 2-week period. And the young doctors would come in, sit down, barely look at you, ask you a list of questions, and then leave. And there was an older gentleman who came in wearing a vest and a button-down shirt, and hands in his pockets, wanted to know how we were doing. And as it turns out, he works on weekends because he still likes to be with patients if he can. And he's an old-fashioned doctor that was raised in that old-fashioned kind of thing and he comes in your room and how are you doing? And he's relaxed and he kind of moves with your body language and really asking how everything is for you, the depth of the questions and stuff. And Bob looks at me when he leaves and said, "Where'd that guy come from?" It's like, and as it turned out, he was a family physician even for the geriatric doctor that Bob has right now. He was a family physician for like her mother or something like that. That's how it kind of went. And then he works every now and then on weekends just to kind of connect with people in that way. But his manner was so wonderful and so warm, and yet would get to the point, and like, that's just something that you can't bottle. You can't teach that connection anymore.
Yeah. Well, you can, but we don't.
We don't. Yeah.
I think that, and I think that the whole piece that it's not there, we don't see it. I think that there are some people who do react from that caring place. That's just not as much the norm as it used to be.
Yeah.
So we should be in better appreciation of it when it shows up.
Yeah.
Because of course we want to focus on the positive things because that's what we want to see more of.
That's true. I notice it. And now that we're talking about it, I've noticed that in my little townhome community here, townhomes are smaller homes, traditionally less expensive than standalone homes. So we're starting to attract families, right? We're starting to attract a different group of people in the neighborhood. And so we also have more renters, short-term and long-term. the families are bringing in children. And the kids are kind of, which is interesting. So there's a lot more kids in this neighborhood. And some small, but most of them like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, that kind of age. So they're out and about. So I'm out and about walking my dog all the time, and I'm always looking at people and kind of smiling, engaging. They don't ever look. They don't look. It's weird. It's really weird to me. And I've just noticed it. I was gone for a year in Colorado. I've been back. And so we have a change in the demographics. And but I've noticed that they don't look.
Mm.
It makes me sad. They don't look. I mean, I don't get it.
It's an interesting piece because, I mean, I don't know what their story is, but there are cultures where children do not look at adults.
So fair. Oh, maybe they were taught because of being afraid of being nabbed.
I don't know. I don't know. Obviously there's lots of possibilities out there, but because it's a lot, perhaps that's a cultural thing that they picked up from their parents, or maybe it was something they were physically taught. It's like,
It's not just one family. Yeah,
yeah.
I don't. Oh, maybe that is what they're teaching their kids. Don't talk to strangers. Don't look at strangers. Strangers are scary. You never know what they're going to do. Maybe, maybe so.
It's an interesting piece.
Yeah, I want to go back to your comment a moment ago that well, what we hold in our mind is what we're seeing. So if we're focusing on this fact that people aren't coming to church, if we're focusing on the fact that people aren't reacting to us the way we'd like to, how are we projecting that, or how are we, what's our piece in that picture, right? In the reflection. And I used to listen to Stuart Wilde a lot. He's passed on, but he had some interesting books on energy and playing with energy. And there was an exercise, it just reminded me of this one exercise where you could walk down the street. And, when you're walking down a sidewalk in the city, or pretty much, in any busy place like that, most people are not looking at anybody. They're just looking straight ahead, or they're looking down at the most part. So you pick somebody and you see coming, and you look at them and you focus sending them love, or you focus sending them a greeting. Hello, I see you, that kind of thing. And just give it a moment, because by the time they get to you and they've touched your field, they will look at you. So I used to go walk in the street and do that on my lunchtime.
Yeah.
And I think, and it was a fun little exercise, but at the same time, maybe that's something that those of us who are more aware of that could start practicing on a regular basis.
Good idea.
Because there comes a point where, I mean, isn't the point about science of mind, learning this philosophy to bring more good into the world and help people see this? And so if we could even be a point of that to an exercise like that, I don't know what we would call it particularly, but a point of connection with that light and love, and be intentional about it without even saying a word, really.
Oh, that's beautiful. That really is. So Sam Walton, right? Walmart, he has these rules, just beautiful little snippets, right? I forget what they were called. One of them was called the 10-foot rule. Oh, there's that word again. And what he was espousing there is somewhat similar, but not exactly of what you just said. But if you're you see someone, you're walking towards each other, and his 10-foot rule is when, look up, smile, and greet.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. He probably didn't have the projection
Oh,
and
sure.
the sending of the love that you were just articulating. I would play with that 10-foot rule when I was at Walmart, when we were still meeting and had our buildings and still in person before COVID. It worked a lot. I like adding, though, the energy projection.
Mhm.
I can work on that.
I think too that it's an honoring when you're sending the awareness to that person, or even when you're just looking up and recognizing that they're there. It's an honoring of that other person. That's sometimes not done elsewhere.
Yeah.
I'm
not sure I understand.
Oh, AI Siri. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Siri. Okay.
You're welcome.
All right.
My Siri is
Yes.
answering her. I didn't even touch it.
Me either. I mean, I'm just sitting here, taking this all in, and then I get that response. Thank you,
Big
God.
Brother's listening. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
So, okay.
That's symbolic of what's in the future.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right? The fact that we were reading an article that was written by chatbot, that the fact that as we're speaking, the series,
Yes.
yeah.
Just trying to make sense out of it and throw it back.
That's funny.
Yes.
Wow. Is your phone close, Diane? Where is your phone? Where was your phone? It didn't respond.
Mine's a
Wow.
very old phone. It's old fashioned.
My phone didn't respond, but my watch did.
Should watch.
Well, that's the future.
Yes.
We will probably have robots on Zoom with us one of these days. Well,
What
we
do you-
kind of did right
We
now.
just did. Yes. Oh, how strange. Oh, how strange.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Very funny.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like the idea of projecting love, sending that energy out as we
Yes.
interact with people. Yeah, be intentional in it.
Your example of Petra with the child, the children's church. I had a friend that in ministerial school that the church she went for, she wanted to start I think hers was, I was going to say a visioning group, but I think it actually was a youth ministry. That's what she really wanted to be involved in, now that I think about that. And she asked me what I thought, and I kind of told her the same thing. We'll vision on it, but I think, you've got to set your space and set your room and start showing up, just be there.
Mhm.
And I didn't hear, I don't think I heard the outcome of it. But I had kind of told her the same thing. But when I tried to start the little teaching chapter here, I sent out invitations in different directions, for trying to attract people. And I got a couple yeses, responses, RSVPs, but nobody showed up. And I had rented the space and had everything set. And so I went ahead and, well, I've told you that before, I went ahead and just taught the class as if people were there. I figured that would be my practicing for the next week when people would show up. And of course, the next week was March 20th or 21st, and everything shut down in 2020. It was like March 22nd of 2020. So I couldn't go back and everything was shut down. But I figured I was trying to anchor that energy in there,
Mhm.
in that space.
Mhm.
And then I found that even my own doubts about myself got in the way when I tried to set something online, or the Zoom and the time change didn't work. I had so many complications the next time I tried to do it that I just frazzled myself. I never did kind of get it going.
And then
That's
you joined
interesting.
in a journey.
No, and I was supposed to be here.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing how it all unfolds because, I just knew when I started out that I was going to start this teaching chapter and it was going to take off and be a big center,
Yeah. What's the
But-
most people at one time that you've had as members?
Oh, and people that attended, probably 22 or 25.
Oh, that's good.
Good
Yeah.
number.
Yeah, we did it and when we first started meeting, we met at Denny's on Sunday evening at 5:00. And, it's kind of like, okay, people would show up because it was different, but they could still go to their other church,
Yeah.
and have room to hang out there. So I had probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 Sundays that had 15 to 20 people and a couple that were more than that. When we changed locations after we did Denny's for several years and it wasn't working out, the congregation dwindled and dwindled and dwindled. We had a new location, the place that I'm in the process of moving out. And we were having this meeting in the big social hall, and we did it at Sunday, I think at 1:30 or 2 or something like that. And I probably had 15 or 20 people the first time there too. But not the second time. Everybody was willing to come the first time to see what it was all about. But the second time it was like, oh, okay. We did it once. We don't need to do it again. We already did church once today. We don't need to do a church again. So
Right. Yeah.
it was very interesting, but
Yeah, it's right smack in the middle of the day.
yeah, yes. But seemed like that seemed a better time at the time. So
Sure, right.
anyway, we quit doing service on Sunday. We quit doing service at that point. Then they came out with the rules that teaching chapters were not supposed to do Sunday service. So we quit doing service and then just went to straight teaching. And I did a Monday night group and a class and a couple of other different kinds of things for years. Obviously, here we are. So
Very good.
yeah,
Glad you're here.
me too.
I'm glad you're here. Glad you both are.
Yeah.
Reverend Suellen, I had mentioned earlier that I'm part of a little book study. We're looking at shaman healing. I think I've mentioned that, right?
Mhm.
And Reverend Lynn joined us this morning to talk about some of her experiences. And she's also gone to training with the individual that wrote the book that we're studying. It was just a beautiful discussion.
Good.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, there's so
Well-
much that we share amongst ourselves. It's really nice.
Mhm. I like the piece about science of mind, particularly Ernest Holmes, that really spoke to me was to always be open at the top, that there is no one answer that
Mhm.
that works for everybody. It just isn't there. So we need to be able to be aware of what else is out there, because it could be something that we need to hear, that we need to take in, we need to manifest as it goes through our lives. It's kind of an interesting piece to
Yeah.
me to look at and read and study some of these things. And then some of them I'm looking at it and I'm going, no, no, I don't think so. Yeah. So,
And then you can take bits and pieces of it. Maybe you don't adopt
Yes.
all of it, but
right. Right. It's been an interesting thing too. I'm doing letters to my granddaughter.
Yeah.
My granddaughter's graduating high school. The high school has something called pink letters. And their family and friends are invited to send a letter of congratulations or whatever, with the name of the students and the name of the high school to the high school. And they'll be distributed on their senior breakfast. So I took the opportunity to start writing pink letters. And, you know, full of congratulations, but also full of advice. And each lesson is typed 1 page, maybe 2. Not even, I haven't had one that's 2 full pages yet. And I just type them up, put them in the envelope, put the number on them. I've had 20 of them so far. And said,
Wow.
how much fun is this to be able to record all the things that you wish someone had told you when you were graduating high school? Because, you know, at graduating high school, part of you is like really scared about what's going on. And then part of you is like, I got it. I know everything. I got it all figured out. And, you know, and the very first letter, I recommended that she put them in a notebook. Keep them, put them in a notebook. So at some point in the future, she could refer to them and go, oh, okay.
That's a good idea.
So anyway,
It's a beautiful gift.
it's an interesting piece that's been fun to do. So
When is she going to open them?
the 24th, I think. So
Oh.
next week.
Yeah,
Next
next
We ended up,
Wednesday.
they had to be at the school by the 15th, which was Monday. So I quit writing them, quit sending them to the school on the 8th and started sending them to the house.
Oh,
And the first one I said, please don't open this until you get the others.
aw.
And she got one a couple of days ago and she's going, what is this? And my son said, you can't open it yet. So it's interesting.
Great.
Yeah. I laughed and said, because I don't have any knowledge now. I mean, I have some ideas about what I wrote before, but I'm not taking them out and rereading them every time to make sure I don't duplicate. I figure if I say something over again, it was important enough that she needed to hear it twice.
Yep.
Are you keeping copies?
Oh yeah, I've got the originals on the computer. Yeah.
Right, that's
Yeah.
good. So
Yep.
you're projecting love and wisdom here.
Oh, absolutely.
That's just,
Absolutely.
you know,
Yep.
it's just the bottom line of how we can contribute to society,
Mhm,
family, friends, and even strangers.
mhm. Yes. It's all good.
Very good.
A very interesting piece. Now, so we got from technology to old-fashioned letters.
You were using
appropriately so.
technology. Yeah, you were using technology.
That's true. I didn't chatbot it though.
You could do one. That'd be interesting.
Yes, yes. Give me a 400-word essay on things a high school graduate should know.
That'd be really interesting.
Okay. Yes, I might do that. So anyway,
And then she'll look at it 20 years from now and she'll go, oh, how antiquated was that?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know, all these books that I have, and I'm thinking, nope, no, I'm not replacing all my books with electronic books, just not. So it's
Maybe hear
great.
Bob sneezing.
I did.
So,
Okay. All right. Well, we've gone all over the board here. Is there anything else that you guys can think of that we need to do?
no, thank you for this wonderful discussion. It's fun.
Yeah. I think that having just open discussion without a lesson is just fine. You know? Because I've got all these quotes here and I didn't even look.
That's
at any
right.
of them.
Oh my gosh.
You know, it's a very interesting thing. Just briefly before we go, I'm looking down at one, the Course in Miracles experiment for lesson 121 says, walk toward the light. Okay. In this theme of this month's theme, which is the light and the shadow together, or something about light and the shadow within, or something like that. I don't remember exactly the title. Spending time looking at the shadow might be helpful, but if you're just walking to the light, that seems more appropriate. I was talking briefly with Jack earlier, and he mentioned the comment that as we get older, as he's getting older, he has a tendency to not even want to look at the shadow. Just walk toward the light. Just continue to move toward the light. And I'm going, isn't that what we're all doing? And then let go of that shadow part that is tagging along with us and just let it dance along behind us like it is a shadow. Hello, me and my shadow. I'm trying to make shadow pieces in the picture here. Not that I can sing, but allowing that shadow just to be itself, dancing around us as we dance, as we move toward the light.
All the little mini me's.
Yes. Yes. All right. I'm through with the shadow for the time being. I've said my 2 cents worth. Contributions to inner journey can be made by texting. Oops. (405) 337-9739. And the word for today is grace.
Got it. Cool.
So let me take a moment and take a breath. Say thank you, God, for this fun time that we started with AI and moved around to shadows, played with involvement in community and future and looking at where we're going. It's been fun. It's been enlightening. It's been spiritually awakening, allowing us to grow. And so I give thanks for this time together, knowing that as we go forth from here, we do so in love and joy and harmony, and that our lives are filled with love, filled with God expressing through us. And I absolutely give thanks, knowing it is done here and now, and so it is.
Yes,
So
so
it
it
is.
is. Thank you,
Thank you.
thank you.